Imagine a world that had stood for 1,000 years, a city that was the center of the universe. All roads led to it. Its laws were carved in marble. Its armies were invincible. Rome. But by the end of the 5th century A.D., this giant statue had feet of clay. It was rotting from within. The year is 476, when the last Western Roman emperor, a mere boy named Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by a Germanic chieftain. It wasn't just a child losing a throne. It was the end of an era. No one that day explicitly said, "Today the Middle Ages begin." But as night fell over the empire, the people knew that the state that had protected them for centuries was gone. When the sun rose the next morning, Europe had stepped into a darkness that would last for 1,000 years. The borders of Rome, the once mighty limes, were no longer a shield. They had become a sieve. From the vast steppes of the east came a tidal wave that would shift the very foundation of the continent. The Huns. The terror brought by these relentless horse archers pushed other Germanic tribes, the Goths, the Vandals, the Franks, like falling dominoes deep into Roman territory. You must understand, this was not just a military invasion. It was a desperate mass migration for survival. Rome's disciplined legions no longer faced a single, organized enemy. Now, from every forest and across every river, a new, starving tribe emerged. Chaos reigned. Cities hastily raised their walls higher. Grand theaters were converted into makeshift shelters. Trade ceased entirely. The magnificent Roman roads now belonged to bandits. People were forced to abandon the security of civilization they had known for a millennium. If you were a Roman citizen in 480 A.D., your choices were simple: stay in the city and starve, or leave. The great urban centers, once fed by grain shipments from North Africa, were now death traps. The aqueducts ran dry. The markets were empty. So, the Great Retreat began. People fled the collapsing cities for the countryside. They sought out powerful local landowners, former Roman senators turned warlords, who held the only thing that mattered anymore: land and private militias. And here, in the mud of rural Europe, a new deal was struck, a brutal trade-off that would define the Middle Ages. The weak said to the strong, "Protect us from the chaos, and we will serve you. We will work your land, and we will surrender our freedom." The free citizen died. The serf was born. The age of the marble city was over. The age of the isolated wooden fortress had begun. Yet, amidst this violent transformation, one institution did not fall. As the imperial government collapsed, the church stepped into the vacuum. Isolated monasteries became islands of order in a sea of anarchy. While warlords burned libraries outside their walls, inside, monks painstakingly copied the last remaining texts of antiquity by candlelight. They were barely holding on to the knowledge of the past. The so-called barbarian kings soon realized that if they wanted to rule more than just rubble, they needed the administrative power of the church. The cross became as mighty as the sword. The stage was set for a new kind of kingdom, ruled by warrior kings anointed by God. By the year 500 A.D., the map of Europe was unrecognizable. The unified Roman world was fractured into dozens of warring tribal kingdoms. The road ahead would be bloody, brutal, and long. But the collapse of Rome wasn't just an ending, it was a violent birth. From these ashes, new identities were being forged. The ancestors of modern France, England, Germany, and Spain were carving out their territories in blood. The darkness had fallen, yes. But in the next chapter, we will see the first great power rise from that darkness. The rise of the Franks and the forging of medieval Europe. If you want to join us on this journey through the true history of the Middle Ages, subscribe and ring the bell. See you in the next era.